We're back in the room once again, ladies and gentlemen. Joining me again on the gift that keeps on giving, what has commonly come to be known as the Caiman Show. Joining me today on the Caiman Show, he is a published author, a fellow podcaster, a fellow YouTuber, and now I think I can call him a friend as well. Give it up for my friend, yours also, I hope, Chris Tetreault-Blay. How are you doing, sir? You all right?
I'm very well, mate. Very well. This is ticking off one of my podcast bucket list.
Fantastic, mate. It's nice, isn't it? It's nice to swap shoes and put the shoe on the other foot for a change, you know?
It's been a while since I've done it from this side. I must
admit. Well, it's good. It's a nice change, you know? Like I said to you when I came on yours, it felt a bit bizarre at first, you know? Answering instead of asking. I'm not sure if I slipped up a few times and started getting my, podcasting host set on as well. But if that happens, it happens, you know.
Same with today. It's just a chat. You would ask questions along the way if we're down the pub. So
we're just having a natter. That's what we're doing. So obviously I know about your show Once Upon a Turnbuckle. Buckle. Bit my tongue then.
That's my sister's show.
That's it, I bet. Once Upon a Turnbuckle, so great podcast, great YouTube show. I've been following it for a while. Randomly stumbled across each other as I think the term, what was I doing? What was I doing? Spamming. I was spamming. That's what I was doing. Spamming my content on other wrestling platforms, like on Facebook groups and things like that. I think we stumbled across each other on one of those. You came across my Eugene interview. We just sort of started chatting then and everything. I ended up, it was sort of falling in line with as I was going for Carnage. Shall we say Pro Wrestling Carnage? Rude not to give them a shout out. Obviously, the boys have all been on the show. A lot of them have. We'll talk about it. Half the bloody roster on the show now, I think, which is great. And I've been watching them all, keeping an eye out. And only recently, however, I realized by the wonders of Facebook that you are, in fact, a published author as well.
I am. What?
So, fantastic. So, specifically a children's author?
No, I started off with horror fiction, actually, enough, which does turn a few heads when people ask me that.
Brilliant. So and it's led on into children's writing now as well.
The children's stuff has only come in the last 2 years ago. I've had two picture books published so far, and the first one came out 2 years ago. So it took about a year before that for it to get published. So only a few years that I decided to. It's something that I always wanted to try. Once I started writing, I thought I'd set myself a challenge. Children's books, I think, are the most challenging, or can be.
Brilliant.
And lo and behold, it actually turned into something that was actually put out there, which is
wicked, man. That's fantastic. Well, let's go back to the beginning there then, right? First of all, so we know you've published horror then now. We've established that. Children's books as well now. Again, this is only something I recently discovered about you. So when did this come about, first of all? When did you start? Was there something in school? Were you always a bit of a writer, or was it like myself? I started writing when I just found, I don't know, I guess after a divorce, I had a bit more time and everything. I was into my wrestling. I think Mick Foley had brought his book out, his first one, Have a Nice Day. And it was like, let's write something. And I've often gone about it, right? And I've wrote loads of stuff up until like in the pandemic, I was still writing, and I've got a load of stuff saved on a memory stick, but I've never quite made it to the end. And I find that really tricky, that part. We'll talk about that in a minute, right?
Yeah, cool.
Let's take you back first then to how and where it all began, and when you thought, right, this is getting serious. I'm literally gonna get this published.
It's gonna sound cliche. It was never something I set out to do, really. Going back to school days, I was more creative. Looking back on it, it was easy. English and art were my strongest subjects. I came away with A's. I hated school.
Me too.
I didn't want to be there. There were certain subjects that I did well at just because I guess I applied myself differently to them, but I never enjoyed them. I think my mum really let the cat out of the bag. My mum was responsible for some of if I did any poems or little stories and that, she was mainly the one that, short of actually writing them down herself, they were hers. No, the main thing that really set me off that I wanted to write for myself. I didn't start writing my first novel, Acolyte, until 2013.
All right, okay.
It was, I've got to be careful how I phrase this, really, because again, people think this is a bit odd, but it came about as my reaction to finding out that my wife was pregnant. I just had all this stuff going on in my head, and I was going through some other stuff as well at the time, and it all kind of came to a point. I was like, I just felt the urge to write stuff down. And I was a massive fan of horror movies, video games. I was playing a lot of Resident Evil and Silent Hill at the time.
Classic.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Can't be them. It's a shame, really, in the sense that I wasn't able for 7 years to play those with the kids around. I kind of fell out.
I can understand that. Yeah, I think people will be able to relate to that.
Yeah. But I think that's why the horror thing came, because as I got this urge to write, I think the ideas that I had came from things I'd watched, things I'd read in that genre. But the actual writing thing, I was playing around with writing song lyrics before that. Massive music fan. Music's always been a big part of, me for years. Even whenever I've had quiet moments now, I've always got music on. And it was about 2006, 2007, I got interested in songwriting, in particular storytelling in songs, and particular artists that really do tell, rather than just sing about the same stuff, broken hearts or this, that, and the other, actual stories. And I got into the local folk scene when I moved down to Devon. So people like Show of Hands, Seth Lakeman. I discovered that, and I developed a real keen interest in local folklore, particularly the darker side of stuff.
Awesome.
So the first time I started actually writing anything down was probably a few years before I even started writing a book or a story. I was just mucking around with trying to get some song lyrics down, because I taught myself to play guitar. I always swore I would have a band, just doing the local pub circuit, and that I thought it'd be cool if I had some stuff. I got 4 or 5 songs written down, just lyrics. But then I started writing this diary to my unborn children that summer that I found out I was going to be a dad. And it kind of went from there. There was nothing horrific in there. Like that.
I was going to ask, do you want to share some of the content with us, or is it totally private? Like
it lasted about a week, and it was really, at the time, like I say, I was kind of coming out of a bit of a dark patch, mental health wise, for one reason or another, and writing just became cathartic to me. Especially
definitely,
then I can
relate to that as well, man. Definitely, there's a lot of similarities here I'm seeing as well that I can totally relate to.
Cool. I'm glad I'm not on my own then, really.
No. I've had the old black dog and that as well, man. We've all had our issues.
Yeah.
So but we're not alone.
Really, that's good. And that's one hell of a message to put across. There's so many people
definitely
now, which, but yeah, so that really was like therapy for me. And it lasted about a week, this diary. And then I then wanted to write a short story. And anyone who's read my books will know I'm absolutely useless at trying to keep concise. My attempts at short stories, I had 3 on the go, and they all formed in some way into my first novel.
Right. Okay.
I found one common thread that I could use to weave them all together, and I couldn't shake it. So I just, yeah. So as I was writing all this down, again, it was just really for me. I didn't really know anything. Didn't know where to go with it. And then my wife found a Facebook post about Nanowrimo, or Nanowrimo, however you say it, National Novel Writing Month, which is every November. And it's like a worldwide challenge, to write 50,000 words in a month. And 50,000 words is then what is classed as a novel. So in a sense, you can write a novel in a month.
Okay.
And I kind of cheated. I went into that it was November 2014. I went with all the remnants of these stories that I had already written, which is probably half of my word count. And I just put them all together. And I thought, right, let's see what can come of this. And I did end up, again, sneakily, I did do the 50,000 words. So I counted myself a winner with that.
Fantastic, man. It doesn't matter how you get there, right?
Exactly.
As long as you get there.
Exactly. And I was going to leave it there. It was just something good that I did for myself. And at the end, at the time, I don't know if it's still the case, one of the prizes for winning, for doing the 50,000 words, is they gave you the opportunity to publish the book, I think, with Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, like one copy. So you had a physical product. So I was going to do that just so I had that. And then a couple of months later, I started seeing, again, Facebook. This has played a lot of part in me noticing where to go with certain creative
It does. It's
avenues.
a good gateway to many things, isn't it?
Yeah. And there was a few ads that came through from publishers, independent publishers, that were taking submissions. And I thought, why not? You know, sent it off. And like, as it was, I didn't even really edit it, to be fair. And, you know, I didn't expect anything. But then within, I think, a month or two, I'd had my first offer back from a publisher that they wanted to take it on. So
awesome.
There we go. Yeah, completely, really, again, nothing. I didn't set out to be a published writer. It's just as the course took me, it was an idea that really appealed to me. Then it's like, I want to get this out there then, see what happens, you know? Yeah.
Awesome, man. So that one was published. You took that offer, did you?
I did. It would be silly not to, really.
Yeah, well, totally. Yeah. It's an opportunity, man, isn't it? A golden opportunity.
Yeah.
And what book was that? Do you have that one there behind you now or not?
That was Acolyte. I do. This isn't the version that was released then. I have that around somewhere. But this is the most up-to-date version. So Acolyte, which is the first, it became a trilogy, actually. Yeah. It was the Wildemont Apocalypse trilogy, and that was the first part. So I've so that's gone on. I've done those 3 books. I've never been able to find, or I struggled to find a home for them I was happy with in terms of publishers. I was with one publisher, and the thing with independent publishers is you don't get the marketing, the impact, I suppose, that you do with one of the big 4 or 5.
Yeah.
You know, you have to do a lot of the work yourself, and I struggled with that. So I have taken the Wildemont Apocalypse books, I've taken away and self-published them myself as well as then handing them over to a couple of other independents over the way. You know, I'm currently with a cracking publisher with them, and, you know, I'm happy.
Excellent. Do you want to give them a shout out?
Yeah, Britain's next bestseller. So David and Kelly McCaffrey. It was like came full circle, because one of the first avenues that I tried to get Acolyte out there was through Britain's Next Bestseller, and they're like, it was more like a crowdfunding platform. I didn't achieve enough pre-orders then to get it published, which is then when I had this other offer from another publisher. So since I've been able to get them out, and then, you know, Britain's Next Bestseller did grow more as well. And then I knew David because he was one of the authors that started with Britain's Next Bestseller, and then he ended up taking on the company with his wife. So when the opportunity came up for me to put the book to them, it just felt right, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah. So
nice end to that story, if you will.
It is.
Pun intended, all the way.
obviously. But yeah. So it's been a rocky road with those ones, with that trilogy. Again, I've never really been able to decide, you know, where I was happy with them.
What's it all about then? Let's give us I don't know, the shortish version.
Okay, so the trilogy was born out of my idea of the 2012 prophecy. Anyone who's not familiar with it, the Mayans predicted that the world would end in 2012. There was a movie made about it and everything. Was it not a calendar as well, a Mayan calendar or something? Yeah, that's right. So it was based on the Mayan calendar, and it was, they even pinpointed it to the 21st of December 2012. So obviously at the time when it got up to, when I found out about that, I was fascinated. I was like, you know, what if that does happen? Yeah. This was about 2 years before 2012. So I researched a lot. I read a lot of books about the Mayan prophecy and all the theories. See, then December 21st, 2012 came, and I was at work, and it was the most normal day at work. And then I went back in the next day, and I was like, well, that was a bit disappointing. You know, nothing that I can say happened there. But then I kind of thought, well, what if something had happened, but somewhere really small and remote in the world, some sort of event had happened that nobody else necessarily knew about, but eventually it would have a knock-on effect. That's where this comes from. So the Wildemont Apocalypse is set in a fictional moorland county called Wildemont, very much inspired by Dartmoor, which is pretty much on my doorstep. and it goes over sort of two different timelines. So it starts off in the late 1600s, where there is a band of, I should call them renegade priests. So they were it was during the time that they were being told basically that they had to adopt a new form of religion and worship, and they acted out against it. They basically went underground, and they decided to worship their own way with their followers, but it was all very hush hush. It was against the law the way they were doing it. They decided, or the leader decides, he's going to go a bit underground, even more underground, to the underworld, and he's going to summon something to then take revenge basically on everyone who wronged him. And then I bring it up to date into sort of early 2000s, same community, but there's people within that community that have some link to what happened in the late 1600s when this entity, this force, was summoned, and it was all going to come to a head on December 21st, 2012. And that's where the trilogy kind of ends, is at that point.
Yeah, nice, man. Nice.
Yeah,
excellent. Well done, man. That's brilliant. That's fantastic. Awesome stuff. So this still available, I take it?
It is.
Yeah. Where can people get hold of them if they're interested? Because that's fascinating. Well, not stories, some fascinating facts in there which lead to the story, lead into the story, you know. So it's good. You
can grab on Amazon. If you search for either the Wildemont Apocalypse or my name on Amazon, you'll get all my books on there. The first two parts, Acolyte and the Sowing Season, are still available, and we're in the throes at the moment of trying to get the third installment of Gods and Insects republished. It was published before. I self-published that one.
Yeah.
But since going with Britain's Next Bestseller, we haven't had the chance to get it out yet. So that'll hopefully happen sometime soon. But yeah, you can grab the first two installments on Amazon.
Brilliant. Go grab them, guys. Go treat yourselves. Treat yourselves.
You know, dark nights out there. You need a dark book.
Exactly. Definitely. Just keep the lights low. Little read.
That's it.
Lose yourself. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So why didn't you tell me about these books then, mate? What's the matter with you? Come on.
COVID was the matter with me, and I know everyone blames everything on COVID, but I haven't really written anything in probably 18 months, 2 years. And COVID came along, lockdown came along, my creativity went completely out the window. So that's when I discovered podcasting. It was
same.
There we go. So it was some way that I still had this creative urge, but I couldn't focus myself to write. So I did, in a way, I kind of turned my back on my writing side all of last year, at least all this year. I haven't really done anything with it, and podcasting really became my go-to. And it's only really now that I've kind of sat back and I thought, I've done a lot, with my books, and I put a lot of time and effort into creating them, and they deserve a bit more attention, and I've probably got a lot more in me that I
definitely, man, definitely. If it's there and you've already started spilling it out, let it flow, I say.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's go on to the children's books then now. So how does one decide that they're going to go from one place to a completely different place, or is it not that different really? I don't know. Well, in terms of writing,
you could probably find parallels, to be fair. I mean, in terms of writing, the sense of finding the inspiration was pretty much the same. It's just, you can get it from anywhere. The ones that went into my horror books it was always in there, and it didn't take much. It's something very everyday, very normal, that would just send me off on that tangent. The same happened with, apart from the fact that obviously I've got kids, I've spent probably, they're 7.5. I've spent 7 years probably reading to them at bedtime. You get a feel for the kind of stuff you like to read to your kids, and what you find enjoyable as a parent.
Yeah.
So I think I wanted to couple it. Like, at one of my first interviews when I got published, someone said to me, what other genres would you like to write in? And I was like, I would always like to do a children's one, because I think they're the most honest and challenging audience you've got.
Definitely. Yeah. They either love it or they hate it, don't they?
Absolutely.
They're either enthralled or they're like, oh, come on.
Exactly. So I was like, if I could write something that was accepted by them, I'd find that probably even bigger accomplishment than what I've done with my more adult stuff. And one night this idea just came to me. Again, I didn't sit down and say I'm going to write a children's book. So the two children's books I've done so far, you can see in the background.
What are they called?
It's a Long Way to the Moon.
Yeah,
it's the first one, and It's a Long Night for Santa is the most recent one, and they both involve my character, simply called the Little Brown Moth. That is what he is. And it was one night in the living room. There was a moth floating around our light bulb.
Really? Is that the inspiration? That's amazing. That sounds like my songs. I look out the window, and I'll just I don't know. I'll see a red car and a person with like, I don't know, a perm getting out of there, and it's like, right, we're going to talk about this guy with a perm now, and what sort of day he's about to have, like, crazy.
All creativity, I think, is rooted in reality somewhere.
It is, man. It is.
But we were just packing up for the night, shutting the lights off, turning the TV off, and everything. We're trying to get this moth out, so I turned the light off and sort of got him out the back door. And I looked up; it was a full moon. I just happened to say to my wife, "Do you ever think that there's a moth who confuses the moon for a light bulb and tries to fly to thinking it's a light?" And that's it.
That's amazing. That's awesome. That's instantly hit the hot button, man. That's cool. What a great little analogy. Brilliant.
So, for the next 3 weeks after that, it's a rhyming book as well.
Yeah.
I was very, very inspired by Julia Donaldson. Because again, going back to what I was finding enjoyable reading to my kids, I absolutely love something that rhymes, because you got a rhythm to it.
That's it, exactly. And it keeps the attention then as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that's where the Little Brown Moth thing came from, I think, because I liked reading the Gruffalo. She's got quite simple names for her characters. The illustration side of it was heavily inspired by Eric Carle's Very Hungry Caterpillar. I wanted it simple. But yeah, over the next 3 weeks, I just had these, going back to my songwriting, I think, days, I was just had these rhyming verses going over in my head, and just this story formed. Whenever I got an idea for a line or a rhyme or verse, whatever, I noted it down on my phone. And 3 weeks, I had the book written on the notepad on my phone.
3 weeks. Fantastic. Wow. That's awesome. That sounds quick. That's quick, right?
It is quick for me. I mean, there's people out there who probably do this for a living that can get a decent rhyming story out quite quickly. But for me, with my novels, it's taken at least 6 months, for me to actually finish writing them. So this was good. I just had no idea then what I was going to do with it.
Amazing. So where is it now?
Where is it? What availability?
Available, yeah. No, again, it's published now. It's out now for the public. Yeah,
both of them published. You can get them on Amazon again. With these ones, along with a couple of the other horror ones, you can find if you have a look on Waterstones and W.H. Smith as well.
Oh wow, that's cool. That's super cool.
Yeah, so it's on the websites. It might not be in the shops, or maybe only a couple of them, but you can definitely order them through the website.
Well, it should be. Waterstone Smiths, get in the shops. Thank you very much. Or I'm coming for you.
There we go.
Awesome. So touched a little about this timing and everything, how long it takes. 6 months for your novels. 3 weeks for this book. Like we mentioned a little bit earlier, I've attempted to write books hundreds of times, right? I attempted to write one from my childhood. There was this pond called Devil's Rock. Okay. There was basically a big stream coming down a hill into this big pond, and there was this big rock we all used to stand on, but it had these drill marks in it where it had been drilled for whatever reason. But the myth was that it was the devil's claws that had been in this rock. So it's called Devil's Rock. So I started writing this book about me and my childhood friends without naming them as me and my childhood friends. Yeah. We were down at Devil's Rock, and then one day we managed to move the rock and we found a portal to hell. And it turns out then in this book that my friend's father is not really my friend's father, but he is the devil, and he came out of the rock and he grounded everyone for moving the rock and all this. But I never finished it. It sounded good though. I've still got his handwritten in it as well. In an exercise book, I'm probably about not that far in, really, about 50, 60 pages in handwriting.
Yeah.
But I did that. I've done autobiography. I can't talk. Autobiography. Say it for me, man. Autobiographical stuff. There we are. I said it. I've done autobiographical stuff as well, right? Just basically with the message to people, like, you can hit rock bottom, but there is a way out, because I've had addiction problems in the past. I've died twice, and I'm still here to tell the tale. And I'm doing okay now, you know. There's an old saying, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. You know what I mean? So I've started writing those things as well, but I can never quite find an end to it, and I never know when to stop. Any tips for me, basically, or for anyone else who has the same issues?
I don't. Wow, yeah. My first instinct to say I don't know, because I've never really known. My going back to my first book, when I brought it to what I felt was the end, when I just got past that 50,000 word mark, I had the ending mapped out in my head. I got it down on paper. I went back to it. I stepped away from it for a few weeks. I went back to it and I added another 20,000 words. I was not finished. So, I mean, that's one thing, you know, don't feel like, you know, the moment that you write the end, or you hit that point that you feel like you've ended it, step away from it. Don't, you know, go back to it.
For me, it's the other way around. I can never seem to find the end. For me, you know, it's like, right, hang on, I got to put this in, I got to put that in, I got to put this in. Oh, but the people are going to want to know that. I'm up to about 40,000 on this autobiographical. I can't say it. I can't say it. Autobiographical. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, I'm up to about 40,000 words on that now, last count. And there's all sorts in there. There's like defying death is in there. Addiction is in there. Separation and divorce is in there. Right. Wrestling is in there. Diving is in there. Motorcycles are in there. All these cool, positive things coming out of the negative things. You know what I mean? They're all in there. But I can't find my way to the end.
The thing with the autobiographical ones is so many of the celebrities have shown is you don't have to stop writing them at one. You know, you could hit a point with one. You know, if you hit a point in your life that you talk about, which was, you know, particularly massive, or you know, you leveled out or something, you could probably reach that point, but then leave it at a point that someone else wants to know more, because you've always got more of a story to tell that you can add to it later on. Good
shout, actually. Little introduction, and then a little bit more, then a little bit more, then you know, always sort of getting to know you then, isn't it, as well?
It is. Always leave it at a point that you would want to pick it up again, I suppose.
Okay, cool. Nice one, man. Nice one. So what's next for you in terms of the publishing and the books and everything then? Are you working on anything at the moment?
Yeah, I've got about 3 or 4 other books, mainly on 3 of them at least on the horror side, that I've started, put down, picked up, and I in my head I know I want to get them done. It's just this is where one of them in particular I was going to do as a 6-part series, just sort of smaller volumes. It was going to be a trilogy, but I was getting so impatient with myself and not being able to finish it. I released the first one as like a part 1, or you know, that is actually a follow-on trilogy from the Wildemont Apocalypse.
Awesome.
It's called the Wildemont Resurrection, and it follows there's a baby who is the focus right at the end of the trilogy, and it follows him 18 years later, so it's set slightly in the future. But I've got that. I know exactly what I want to do with that. It's just nailing myself down to actually do it. What do
you want to do with it?
I want to just get it done, get it out there, and get it published. Maybe even my main aim is to see one of my books on the screen somewhere. You know, made it, you know, TV, film. It's a massive goal for someone who, you know, hasn't set the world alight.
Yeah, well, hey man, you don't aim for between them goalposts. You're not going to score, you know. So that
you got to aim for the moon.
Aim for the moon. I love it. Good pun. Good pun.
That's probably my biggest one. Is I really want to see that made into an animation, which will make it onto Julia Donaldson's Christmas Day slot on BBC.
Awesome.
Very specific. I've had it done. Chris Jarvis from BBC, the children's presenters. He's read both books for Little Radio UK.
That's awesome.
Amazing. Yeah. You're
a dark horse, man. You are, I know.
There you go.
Why did you tell me about this, man? What's going on? Thought we were friends now, man.
Oh no, well there you go. There's a whole side to me you got to discover yet. You know?
Yeah, so, that's it.
Like I say, it's just you know, when the podcasting came along, this side of me just lay dormant a little bit. Yeah. And I really felt like I'd done everything I wanted to with it. Trying to convince myself I'd done that. But no, next year my aim is to get at least one of these books finished. So whether it's Poison in the Well, which is the first of the Resurrection trilogy, or I've got a slightly older children's chapter book that I've got all but finished by about 2 or 3 chapters left. It's just being able to get them out there, which is the challenge. That's
excellent. Well, good luck with it all, man. You're
Thank
inspiring me. Genuinely, you are inspiring me.
Oh,
and I might get back on the keys, or even the ink, or even the phone now, as you mentioned. I just had text. Someone's listening. No, great stuff, man. Brilliant. Well, so we don't really need to talk about anything else now, but we will. Because that's probably double the time some of my podcasts last. But that's great. This is good. We just flow in. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Let's step into the world of podcasting and YouTubing then.
Yes.
So Once Upon a Turnbuckle, said it right that time. Got it right. Got something right. So this is obviously sort of how we met.
Yes.
So let's talk about the podcast. Where did it come from? Where did the idea come from? And where is it going? Was it like mine, a product of lockdown?
It was really. It was a bit of a few things really. I had the phrase and the name Once Upon a Turnbuckle I coined about sort of 2-3 years ago. I was going to do a blog.
Yeah.
That's what it was set up as. It was going to be a blog, me just talking about, old school wrestling that I enjoyed. That was it. Never got it started. I discovered podcasting, like I say, last year in lockdown. I started my first show, Deadmen Talk, was the first 2 series was very much about me, my writing journey. It was all the inspirations behind my books. I started interviewing on there as well. So I started bringing other authors and artists in, which I really enjoyed. So I decided last summer I was going to turn Once Upon a Turnbuckle into a podcast instead, because I was really enjoying engaging with people that way. And it was a direct inspiration from the Eye for an Eye match that WWE did, because of my complete distaste for it.
Needed to get it out there.
Yeah, I that was the point at which I haven't kept up with wrestling for easily 10-15 years, really. I kept up to date with what was going on, but I never watched it.
I'm in the same boat, to be honest. Yeah.
It's just completely changed. And I think when I saw that match, I had this morbid fascination with what they were going to do with it firstly, because I was like, this isn't wrestling. This is, you've proven you've gone way past where you were when I watched you, what drew me to it in the first place. So I was so grieved by it. I was like, I need to put old school wrestling back out there, my love for it. So the idea behind Once Upon a Turnbuckle was it's going to be just me sharing my favorite moments. It was like my 2 pennies worth. This is what I enjoyed when I was growing up. This is what I felt were the best moments, the best angles, whatever. So that was it. And then it was only a few episodes in, and I welcomed my first guest on, which was Thomas James Sky, who's a British indie wrestler. And then I got Duke the Dumpster Josie, and it just kind of went from there. I had a few more episodes of my own, like solo episodes, talking about my loves and that. But this year, I started the year and I was determined I was going to make more of it.
Yeah.
And that's where I got more and more guests on, and it just turned into really something other than I started off with, which was
fantastic, man. That's brilliant. It's great, isn't it? Again, same with mine. Is just started. Mine started as just a bit of a laugh. I think the first episode I did was titled "Why Don't Men Have Boobs?" And it was just me talking about why men don't have boobs for 9 minutes, I think. And just talking some cock and bull story about some guy from Aberdeen who's having breast implants with little milk containers in there so he can do the breastfeeding. All nonsense, but it's grown from there. And it's come a long way, as is yours, but you had sort of like a plan to begin with, whereas I was just like, let's just talk crap.
I guess you had a plan as well, even if
kind of. Crap, I just want to get out there, get out there. And at a time where I was stuck in 4 walls on a roof on my own, it was like, right, I need to try and talk to some people. So then I had my mates on, and then all of a sudden, Trev and Simon popped on, and that's where it took off then. I think. But good times. Anyway, it's not about mine. It's about yours. Sorry, I drifted.
Don't worry.
Like I said, we're 2 mates having a chat in a pub here, and that's what this is. This is our pub. Cheers. Top man.
Yeah, water. Yeah. That'll do for now.
Yes, squash. Honest. So you've had lots of interesting guests on the show. Do you know how many you've had on?
Not off the top of my head. No, I got up to 47 episodes, I think.
That's cool, man. That's good. Excellent stuff. Brilliant. talk us through some of them, and some of your guests and some of your experiences. It's up to you. You can go good, you can go bad, you can go ugly, whatever you want to do. So give us some highlights.
Ones, but,
you kind of feel, if it's me, you got my permission.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, good ones. Yeah, obviously Duke the Dumpster Tracy was I didn't think I was going to get. He was the first one that made me realize actually I could reach out to these guys that I watched on TV and they would actually respond. So having him, that was the first and only time I think I've stayed up past midnight to record. And I don't know if it shows in the video I've eventually put out. I was dead on my feet.
Oh, no.
It was brilliant,
well, I look at it again now, but after you've said, but no, it didn't initially. It does, of course it does. Yeah. And I suppose if it's your first, like for me, if it's your first name value person on there, like, you know, that you've seen on TV, you've probably marking out a little bit as well, you know, inside. Because I went when Trevor and Simon were on, I was like, keep it together. but you know, so adrenaline well and truly kicks in.
So I had him, you know, going old school. I've had Cowboy Scott Casey on, and Sam Houston. He was fascinating to talk to. And other ones that people may not really realize, you know, their significance, I suppose. Tom Fleming. I found him again, a bit like yourself. He popped up in a wrestling Facebook group, and he is actually the artist and costume designer who designed the gear for Adam Bomb, Razor Ramon.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, so he's the one who worked for the WWF in sort of 92, 93. Yeah. 1, 2, 3 Kid. There's loads of these whose sort of first images that, you know, their outfits and that were him.
Excellent.
So he was great to talk to, because I really got some of my best memories were of the, you know, the Survivor Series 93 posters, the artwork. Yeah. That was him.
That was all his job, was it? Yeah. So, what was that like with the cartoony thing? Was it with like Yoko and that, was it?
That's it.
Yes, I remember. I can see it in my head now. Yeah. Oh, so awesome.
I absolutely love that's an image that stays with me. You know, I'm seeing that for the first time in the magazines, you know, but talking to him about his work was brilliant. Awesome. I've had Shane Bigelow on, who's the son of
I've seen that one as well. I've seen that one. Yeah. Nice guy.
He was brilliant.
Yeah, really nice guy.
Yeah. We talked about potentially doing another one at some point. You know, again, whether it'll happen or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, then I sort of came through the first sort of, I would say I was doing, obviously sticking to the old school wrestling. That was sort of keeping in line with what I created the podcast for. And then I brought on, I think the first sort of current star I had on was Jack Morris. Yeah. He was one half of the ICW tag team champions. I saw him on Saturday night BBC game show called I Can See Your Voice. I don't know if anyone's ever seen it. It was basically, it's Paddy McGuinness. It was one of his shows, and he had people on there who were singing or not singing, basically, to try and convince the contestants.
I hadn't seen it, but on Children in Need last Friday, they had a little mini segment of it. There's like 3 guests. Tell me if it's the same thing. I'm guessing it is, because Paddy was introducing it. 3 guests. They all have to lip sync to a song. Yeah. And then they have to decide which one of them wasn't lip syncing and is the bad singer. Yeah,
that is it. So he was on there, and they gave them all they identified them with was their profession. So he was the wrestler, and he was dressed in this really gaudy kind of 80s style outfit. And he turned out, because they've all got to sing at some point, so you find out whether they can sing or not. And he couldn't. So,
yeah. Awesome.
And I just had to. I said to my wife Maria, I've got to get him on. I've got to see if I can get him on, because this is brilliant. And I did. I messaged him that night on Instagram, and he responded that night, and we set it up. And that all of a sudden that got me interested in what was going on currently, particularly in Britain. So that I then had Joel Redman on.
That's right. Yeah, I've seen that one as well.
And then your good self, who, I mean, through you, I then went into a bit of a thing with Pro Wrestling Carnage. Yeah,
a bit of a series. Yeah. You leading me on, now to my next question, mate. So it's going to talk about, well, not question, just observation, really. Just about Carnage. Obviously, lots of guests on. You've had pretty much half of the Carnage roster. When did you decide on doing that series then? Or did you decide on doing that series, or did it just sort of happen?
Again, it did kind of happen. I think the night that you competed and you became the champion, I knew I wanted to get you on, there you go. As a nice sort of companion episode to the one that we had done before anyway.
That's right. Yeah, where I gave you the old, imagine a 43-year-old coming back after all these years and winning the Pro Wrestling Carnage Championship.
It was perfectly
come back.
So then I think it was on that Saturday night that the event was. I sent a message to the Pro Wrestling Carnage page, basically saying, if any of the guys want to come on, I'm very happy to. I arranged it then with Dangerous Danny Owens, and it kind of went from there. A few of them I approached a few more, and then a few more approached me, and I just kind of it did grow. I think it was probably 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, about that. I think. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So who do you have? You had Danny. You had then Danny and Aaron and Blanche.
Yeah. That was my last
you had James on as well. Yeah.
James Ellis.
Brilliant, James Ellis.
Jimmy
Taylor as well.
Yeah.
Myself as well. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 we're up to now, I think. Yeah.
Kai had on as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Bevan.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Chris Bevan. Yeah.
Yeah. And sort of bridging sort of 1 or 2. I had Cue Ball on as well.
Yeah, so, that's right. Yeah. I saw the Cue Ball one as well. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah, Cue Ball again, another fellow YouTuber and podcaster.
Yeah.
Nice to see him on the other side of the fence now and then.
It was quality. Yeah.
Good man. They're great. I've watched them all, and they're a good little addition. It's like a little package within the package sort of thing, if you know what I mean.
I started off, and it was kind of like if I was talking to someone current, like when I was talking to Jack Morris, I still had to have an old school angle on there to try and sort of tie it in with what it started off as. So I always ask, how did you discover wrestling? How did you get into it? Their favorite moments. I finish off with some either dream match scenarios or who would you have on your Mount Rushmore, things like that.
That's right.
So really trying to delve into people's fandom with wrestling and where they started off, because I'm always interested in watching guys in the ring, but where did it start for them? I'm gonna come to that with you in a minute as well, because I'd be interested to know, and we'll get to that in a minute. Bad shit. Anything? Any bad experiences on your podcast? I've had a couple, right? We'll talk about mine another day, all right? Yeah.
But
sure.
yeah. So anything or any cringe-worthy moments?
See, I've been fortunate when the interviews happened, which is probably going to give away what the real bad stuff is. But when the interviews have happened, I haven't really had any bad experiences. There's been probably across both of my shows, Deadmen Talk as well. There's probably been 1 or 2 guests that it's been harder to either sort of connect with or really get something going with them, where others it just takes off. And then you get a few, and they are old school names that I was desperately trying to get on, who, fair enough, I send messages out there to alone and I don't hear anything back. That's one thing.
Same.
When you respond back and we get it to the point where we've agreed dates and times and then you don't bother to show up, that doesn't sit right with me.
Oh, you've had that as well, have you?
I've had that, and there's one in particular that it didn't just happen once either. It left a bit of a taste in my mouth.
Oh, is it?
I'm not saying on here. I'll tell you after.
You will tell me after. Yeah, let me just write that down.
There you go. But yeah, there's been a few that I've got to the point where I've felt on a high because I'm like, this will be really good for me to be able to have them on. And you get like my first experience with an old school name was Duke Drosy, and he couldn't have been any nicer. And he responded straight away. He stuck to it. He was there. He was brilliant. And then you get others that afterwards you like, why are you like that?
That's it.
Do you know that it's the fans that really kept you where you are?
Exactly, of course it is, and everyone needs to remember that. Without them, there's no them.
No,
but have you ever had one? I've had it only a couple of times where I've done it all. I've gone through it, and I've literally just gone through the motions, basically. That's all. And I thought, this is absolutely horrific. And then it turned out to be one of your best ones. Have you ever had that?
See, I haven't necessarily come off one saying this is horrific. I'll probably come off one saying that was difficult.
Yeah.
Probably compared to others. But yeah, I mean, all of mine, because I do watch them or listen to them back when I'm before I release them. And I don't think there's any really I'm disappointed with.
No, that's good then.
Even those ones, they have turned.
Well, this one in particular, I didn't even watch back. I thought, I'm not, I not watch this back. That was just awkward. That was really awkward.
Yeah.
But I've had feedback of a lot of people, and it's for some reason a lot of people's favorite one.
Okay.
It's not a wrestling one either. I'll tell you off air again. We'll exchange names off air. All right,
that's fine. That sounds good.
You'll be able to relate to this individual though. So there's a clue there.
Okay.
Cool. So yeah, going back to what we were talking about the wrestling then. So I'd be interested to know, because I have never really asked you. When did you get into it? And just tell me first of all, and I'll tell you when you got into it. Who was champion when you got into it?
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan. Oh, that's difficult. Oh, right. Okay. That could be one of 3 different. Oh, God. Hulk Hogan in yellow?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Hulk Hogan in trunks?
Yes.
Okay. So there was around, I'm going to go 91-ish, 90-ish.
Spot on.
Yeah, 91. Yeah. There we are. Brilliant stuff. Yeah, it's about the same time as me then. I think it was a bit of a boom period then, wasn't it?
Probably was.
And Sky had just taken on the contract and everything for WWF as it was at the time.
So we never had that, but I did have. There's a friend of my dad's, or it was either a friend of my dad's, or then another time it was, I think, my mum's boss or something. Anyone who had Sky would tape for me either
exactly the same
WrestleMania for a few years or the weeklies.
That's it. A friend of mine, an Italian friend by the name of Romano. Shout out Romano. He had this big, massive satellite dish in his garden. And that was sort of like before everyone had Sky as well.
Yeah.
And he used to get it then, and it'd come on a Friday night, I think it was. Was it Superstars on a Friday night? I think it was then.
I can't remember what way around they had it now.
I think it was.
Prime time and.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And then it was like All American Wrestling as well. WWF All American Wrestling. But yeah, we go down his on a Friday night then, and we'd manage to watch it sometimes, and it'd be great, you know. And then I had that friend, same as yourself, who'd record all the pay-per-views for me. I think they'd show them like sort of peak time, not live. On like a weeknight on a Thursday or something, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then I'd get a video the next day. I'd carry around in my school bag all day. I remember then one guy in school with me by the name of Wesley, you bastard. He said to me the one day, British Bulldog, because he was my favorite back in the day. British Bulldog got pinned last night in the Survivor Series. I was like, why? That was the trouble with carrying that tape around with you all day. You had to practically go through your school day and hide in, I thought. But
I remember those days. Yeah, I had very few friends that were into it as well. But it was when we got Sky, eventually it was 95 by the time I got it.
Yeah.
And it was trying to keep out of earshot of anyone who'd stayed up that night and watched it, because I hadn't, you know.
That's it. It's a dangerous game then, isn't it? You know?
It is.
But
91 it was when I...
Excellent. About the same as, I think my first one, would have been, I remember it. I remember Vince McMahon at the start. He'd always do his little commentary at the start. And thus, the Ultimate Warrior takes on ravishing Rick Rude in the confines of a steel cage. So SummerSlam 90 was my first one. And I was hooked from there then, you know. That was my first pay-per-view.
See, I got into it in 91. It was mainly through an older cousin of mine. He was massively into it as well. So I think they used to, because they didn't live around near us, so I only saw him say a couple of times a year. But he came down once with a couple of videos. SummerSlam 88 was one of them.
Yeah. Oh, it's $1 Million Man.
Yeah,
Zeus, that one. No,
that was
89.
88 is the Mega Bucks against the Mega Powers.
That's right. Yeah.
And he had it on, and I couldn't have been less interested. And he came down again. I think he might have had Royal Rumble 89. Again, I wasn't interested at all. Something clicked anyway, 91. I don't know what it was. But I saw, my mum worked at the local newsagent. So when I went in there, and all of a sudden I saw the magazine, and it was the September 91 edition with Hogan and the Warrior on the front.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that
after Survivor Series. That was it where they were?
That was hyping SummerSlam '91.
Right.
So the match made in hell.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So she bought me that, and then they had the collector cards. The blue.
I remember them. Yeah, the trading cards. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and it said all their quotes, their favorite quote on the back, where they're from, and everything. Yeah, I remember them.
So she started.
Wish I kept them now, man.
So do I. I had loads of those.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Well, I obviously just binned them, I suppose. But she started buying me those, and it's only recently I've sort of put some sort of relation together. September '91, my parents split up.
Right.
So I sort of say there's obviously something in that. Maybe I was looking for something, and that was it for the next 9-10 years. That was me sort of hooked. But I started off. Survivor Series '88 was the first pay-per-view I saw. That was the first video I was bought. Must have been Christmas '91 that I got that. So I started off in '88, really, before I and then '92.
Yeah,
I experienced as it was happening. So it took me a while to find out what happened in between.
Same. I had to fill in a load of blanks as well. I sort of it happened when I went to Cyprus, and pirate video was crazy then. It was wherever you'd go abroad, there'd be shops, gift shops, and they'd have all these pirate videos, and it was just there for the equivalent of like £2. You had WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe, was the first WrestleMania that I saw before stepping back. Right. So I just went back, filled a suitcase up with the things I did. I was what would I have been, about 11 at the time, I think I was. But so I spent, back then as well, in the hotel bar, actually, there was a kids area in the bar, and there was a video on the television. So we'd hijack that sometimes. There was these girls in there one night watching Wayne's World. It's like, no, we're watching Royal Rumble '89. Sorry, love.
There we go.
Ta-da, So brilliant. Awesome. But that's how I got back. Pirate video. Highly illegal. Don't condone it. And it's done now anyway. So leave me alone.
That's like one of my dreams. That is, I always dream that I'm in somewhere where it's just lined with wrestling videos I've never seen before, or wrestling figures I've never seen. And I just go mad and just like,
they had everything there, not just wrestling videos. They had like Hollywood movies and that as well. I don't know how they got away with it, to be honest. But, I remember I bought WrestleMania 1 because I just thought, right, I'm going to go through all of these. WrestleMania 2 and WrestleMania 5, I think, were my first ones. And I bought, like I say, Royal Rumble '89.
Yeah.
I think that's the one where they're all outside in Florida. I think it is '89. Is it? Where they're all interviewing everyone outside, and then
I think it seems to ring a bell.
Yeah,
I think
and so. Jesse's there. Mickey Mouse and Goofy couldn't even get in here. They didn't have tickets.
1990. I remember that one then. Yeah.
Was it 90? That was it? Yeah, maybe. So good times, man. But you talked about SummerSlam '88 then and the Megabucks. So
yes,
we'll go get back into the podcast here now. Just led me on to a train of thought. Okay. Have you tried to get Virgil at all?
No.
You haven't?
And I won't.
No, I've never. All right, okay.
No. Sorry to any fans and that.
No,
I do kind of see him on social media and whatever, and I don't really. No, I don't think I would enjoy that one.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Well, I did, and he messaged me back 2 words. Can you guess what they were?
Well, it's either a price or ones with begins with an F.
Nah. So go with the former, and you're not far wrong. Yeah. He just messaged me back, how much?
Right. Yeah.
And I just replied to him, you're all right, mate. Don't worry about it. I was like, sod that. At least talk to me a bit first.
Exactly.
And not that I'm into paying people, because I'm not. I'm not that guy. I don't have a budget or anything. I wish I did, but
I see him. I don't know whether it's a front he puts on that, but I see him in a lot of stuff. I'm like, I don't know that I would really get on with him very well.
Yeah, so, no. Yeah. I'm not sure if it is a front. I think it might be. I know on Instagram he's all over there doing silly things and all that, and he photoshopping himself into he had today. He had the egg. Did you see that?
I haven't seen
that golden egg that McMahon was given. He had that apparently, and apparently he's taking over the WWE and all that. And it's like, he's just taking the piss, isn't he?
We're all in trouble if that happens.
Oh, totally. It'd be fun to watch, though. It'd be humorous.
It would be.
But cool, man. Well, this has been great, mate. This has been a nice flow in.
Yeah, it has.
How long have we been? Oh, we've done just shy of an hour. It's a minute short of an hour, I think.
There you go.
But obviously, at the end, plugs, shout outs, acknowledgements. What's going on? Anything?
Oh, anything and everything, really. So, I mean, shout outs. Firstly, I gave a shout out to Britain's Next Bestseller. I need to give a shout out as well to Cranthorpe Milner Publishers, the guys who have made these books, my moth books, what they are. Greg Carter as well is the guy who illustrated them. So them working together really made this very, very easy for me. I literally had to give very, very little in the way of, not feedback or ideas. They were right on it. They got my vision right out there. So thank you to, and on the podcast front, thank you to everyone who's taken time to come on and be a guest or watch, listen, share, support your good self as well. I Once Upon a Turnbuckle, I have decided to bring to an end.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I had to make a decision. Again, looking at what I was going to do, I needed to take a break for the winter anyway. I kind of put myself in a box somewhere and hide away. But as I've been thinking more lately about returning to the writing and really wanted to get back out in that, I knew something had to give. I couldn't keep everything going. So Once Upon a Turnbuckle reached its end with my episode I released last week with Beers and Beatdowns, which was a lot of fun. But you can see and you can hear all the episodes. Most of the video interviews I've done are up on my YouTube channel, which is Deadmen's Tales Podcast Network. And that is where I'm putting up all of my podcasts. So you see, I've got some of my interviews that I've done for Dead Men Talk as well. And if you search for both, they're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the main ones. And there's a lot of audio only content that I haven't brought onto YouTube that I've done before. So there's more than my YouTube stuff. So there's those. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram are my main platforms. If you search for Deadmen's Tales Podcast Network or for both at DMT Podnet, they're my pages that I do for those. I have got pages for Once Upon a Turnbuckle, but I won't be using them really going forward. It'll all be under the Deadmen's Tales.
All in the one spot,
just makes it easy, doesn't it? So yeah,
excellent stuff. So completely finishing or on a long standby?
I don't know. I don't want to.
Never say never, right?
Never say never, but I think as a series goes, I think I've done what I wanted to with it. I look at things like a body of work. The reason why I wanted to go down the route of having my books published once I'd written them was I physically can hold it in my hand.
Yeah.
And I kind of look at my podcasts like that, and I've now got them up on YouTube where I can look back on them and I can watch them, and at a point, if I'm able to say I'm happy with that as a body of work, I'm happy to walk away from it.
Job done.
So Once Upon a Turnbuckle, I think, did what I wanted it to do. There may be a few bonus ones pop up here and there, but as a running series, I think that's probably it. Dead Men Talk will be coming back. I'm planning another. I've had some great fun with that, and some of the guests I've had on in series 3. I'm hoping to get back on for another go in the new year. So I'll still be out there. I've got a new podcast as well, just to keep myself busy. Really, I've got a new podcast I launched last week called Bite Size Britain.
Right. Yeah. What's that all about?
So that is it's going to be an audio only one. It's me kind of returning to basics on the podcast front. Just me. Just short episodes talking about things that I like. So this one in particular is about locations across Great Britain with some historical significance, because I'm quite interested in history. I'm quite interested in visiting places with a historical link to them. You've
got to come to Merthyr.
There you go.
You need to, Merthyr Tydfil. Honestly, yeah, crikey, definitely.
There you go. So
it's all going on there. The home of the Iron Master, iron, steel, and coal.
Oh, okay.
It's Cavartha Castle as well. I'll take you there to the museum. It's good.
I need to plan a trip then.
Do it, man.
Anything like that. I've opened up with the first 4 episodes, just with a few places on there that have got not only historical significance, but they've got significance to me from some creative point of view. But there'll be like 15, 20-minute episodes, nothing.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah. Well, bite size, like in the name, man. So, that's great. That sounds awesome. I'll check that out. Keep me posted.
Thank you, bud. I will. Thank you.
Excellent. Mate. Top man. Well, we'll keep in touch anyway, no doubt.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. I don't feel like an hour and 5 minutes to me. Does it to you? That was
not at all.
That was rather smooth. But yeah, nice one. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Tetreault-Blay on the show.
Thank you.
Woohoo!